Time for Inside the Coach's Room. We're going to talk Anaheim Ducks, New York Rangers, and what it was like to buy a TV working for the Arizona Coyotes. Welcome inside the Coach's Room. I'm Steve Peters. You can just call me Petey. And we're a month into the NHL season, and we're already seeing some trends taking place. And I know this is not how the regular season is going to end. And just because you have a good start doesn't mean you're going to have a good finish, and vice versa. But today on Inside the Coach's Room, we're going to take a look at how some of these teams are starting. And some of them are surprising starts, positive way, and some are surprising that they're really starting to struggle. So we're going to get a look at one of the teams that's playing really well right now and one that's not playing so well. And then, as always, we're going to check in with Utah, with my connections to the Arizona hockey community here and the Arizona Coyotes. I always want to take a quick peek into what's going on in Utah. And if you stick around, the very last thing we're going to talk about today is you might have heard Bill Armstrong's quote about a very expensive TV in Utah. And I'm going to tell a little story about what happened when I tried to get a TV for the Arizona Coyotes. But first, let's talk about some of these unexpected starts, some positive starts across the National Hockey League. And you got to go to Anaheim, who's tearing it up right now. Boston's in a playoff spot. Pittsburgh is in a playoff spot. Philly is in a playoff spot. Utah right now holding on to the last wild card in the West. Seattle and Chicago both third in their respective divisions in the Central and the Pacific. And the San Jose Sharks are 1 point out of a playoff spot right now. That's insanity. Right now, how many of those teams that you go, wow, where was this team a year ago? And they were expected to make bumps. And we're going to talk about one of those teams today, and that's the Anaheim Ducks. And the Anaheim Ducks right now are a team that you go, okay, they were going to make strides this year. You knew they were going to be positive and getting a little bit better. In the preseason polls, there were a couple of teams that got talked about in the Western Conference that were going to be better this season, and Anaheim was clearly one of them, and the Utah Mammoth were the other one that I think you heard a lot about, like, hey, these two teams are on the edge. And I still believe that. And the way this Anaheim Duck team has started out and what they're doing is absolutely phenomenal. And I always like to go to some of the numbers before we see the causation of those numbers. Let's look at the numbers. Through 15 games right now, this team has 23 points. They're first in the Pacific, second in the Western Conference, 15 games in, 23 points. Last year, 15 points in, 15 games in, they had 12 points, tied for last in the Western Conference. So they go from last to first in the Pacific in a year. They have 11 wins. Last year at this time, they had 5 wins. But the biggest difference, and when you look at statistics, why? It's the offensive output of this team. And you go to the goals for per game right now. On November 10th, they're scoring over 4 goals per game, 4.13 goals per game, which puts them in first in the National Hockey League. Go to last year. Through 15 games, they had 2.2 goals per game, putting them in dead last. Worst to first in goal scoring. And another positive offensive stat, you go to shots for per game. They were 21st last year, 27.7 shots per game. This year, they're 4th in shots for per game at 30.1. Power play, 32nd a year ago. Now they're 10th. So they're top 10. So when you look at all of the offensive metrics for this Anaheim Duck team, they are better. And not just better, but significantly better. Well, why? Part of it is personnel. And part of it is your ability to this is a young team, and the young team now, those guys are getting older, more experienced, more confident. But that goes back to the coach. And we talked about over the summertime, all of these different teams that receive new coaches. And if you look at who's doing better, yeah, a lot of those are coach bumps. A lot of them. The only ones that didn't get a new coach of the teams, Anaheim, Boston, Pittsburgh, Philly, Utah, Seattle, Chicago, San Jose, was San Jose and Utah. Everybody else made a change behind the bench, and I think that you can see that some of those are positive changes because you get a new culture, and we talk about culture a lot, and I'll tell you this. After being inside a coach's room for nearly 25 years, culture is a word that is absolutely overused. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's when Tippett came in, we got to look at the culture from Gretzky. When Tocchet came in, it's the Tippett culture, and it's not about that. It's about instilling the way you want the locker room to be perceived, the attitude you want in the locker room, what you want to have happen on and off the ice, the accountability you have with the players and the players have with themselves. And I'll go as far as to say it's about what the room looks like. Every single coach changed the room. When you come in as a new head coach, you change something. Whether you get all new whiteboards, you get new carpet, I don't know, you change something. Because you want players to see that something has evolved. And there are changes inside the room. And nothing has happened more of a change inside a locker room across the NHL than in Anaheim. And you go from a coaching style of Greg Cronin to Joel Queneville. And a Joel Queneville that's been able to sit out of the league for a few years and take a deep breath and look at goods, bads, and difference of the way he is coached in this National Hockey League and be able to take those things with him. Because he has changed this Anaheim Duck team, not just on the ice, but off the ice. And one of the things when you talk to people, and the reality is Greg Cronin ran a tight ship. It was tough. It was a tough atmosphere. I think guys were on eggshells. I think it was very dark cloud following the Anaheim Ducks on their locker room when you talk to staff and players. It was tough. It was a really tough atmosphere. And you know who it's really tough on when you have an atmosphere like that inside a locker room? It's really tough on the young players. They're still trying to find their way. Hey, veteran players get through it. Veteran players have been under tough coaches. Veteran players have been in difficult situations before. They've seen a lot of different things, but young players don't know any better. And when they're afraid to make mistakes, that, you know, if you make a mistake, it's going to be on the video board the next day, and B, you're going to limit your ice time. And every time you jump over the boards, you're terrified to make a mistake. You can't play. And that's most often noticed on younger players. And when you have a roster like the Anaheim Ducks, you need to instill a culture and the ability for guys to go out and feel freedom and not be afraid to make mistakes. Because when you go out and you're afraid to make mistakes, guess what? You're going to make mistakes. So you don't need to look any further than what's happening to their young players and their young stars. Leo Carlsson, last year through 15 games, 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points. This year, 10 goals, 15 assists, 25 points. It's 3 times, over 3 times as many points as he did a season ago through the first 15 games. Why? Well, because he's confident. He's happy. He's enjoying playing under a coach that says, hey, inside the blue lines, go play. The structure of this Anaheim Duck teams, you're going to see offensively, they are going to get their defensemen off the blue line more. They're going to activate their defense. Their defense is joining in the rush more, and they are not always thinking of defense first. They're thinking, let's generate some offense. Let's have some fun. Let's move the puck quickly. Let's get up the ice. And I tell you, this is the most dynamic team in the National Hockey League to watch at both ends of the ice. Their high danger chances, both directions, are absolutely exciting. This team generates. They generate offense because they have the freedom to do that. Go to another player. Go to Cutter Gauthier. Last year, no goals, 5 assists through 15, 5 points. This year, 11, 9, 20. Troy Terry led the team in points last year with 11 at this time. Older guy, getting a veteran, getting a lot more ice time. He this year, 5, 14, 19. And another big key to this is some of players that didn't contribute last year to the Anaheim Ducks that are getting an opportunity to that. And most notably, the veteran players. You talk about Chris Kreider, not there through the first 15 last year. 9 goals, 3 assists, 12 points. And Jacob Trouba, who leads all defense. Last year's leading defense point getter by the 15-point mark was Owen Zellweger with 4 points. Jacob Trouba leads the defense of the Anaheim Ducks right now, 4-6-10. Yeah, he's too old. Can't play. Can't move. Can't play. Well, he's got 10 points through 15 games. 4 goals for this Anaheim Duck team. So you're looking at the veteran players, and then you got to look at another guy like Bennett Seneke. Bennett Seneke has got 11 points, 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points through 15. So you're getting those young people. Mason McTavish here go at 8 points. Now he's got 11. Everybody's producing more, but one of the things I talk about is, well, why? And I want to talk about last season when you talk about responsibility and accountability and who's getting the ice time. Leo Carlsson last year was averaging 13 minutes, 5-on-5. He's playing more minutes this season when you go to his average time on ice for what's happening this year versus last year. And you have to see who's getting more ice time. Well, why are they getting more ice time? Because they're trusted by their coach. Leo Carlsson right now, 18, almost 19 minutes per game. Last year, Leo Carlsson was playing 16 minutes a game. That's 3 minutes per game more than he was playing a year ago. Now, yes, he's a year older, and he's getting those opportunities to play, but he's also getting an opportunity. The forwards that got the opportunity to play and led the team on ice last year, Troy Terry, Frank Furtado, Alex Killorn, those are the guys that led in 5-on-5 a year ago. Trevor Zegras. And I know Trevor's still young, but he is one of the guys that had more experience. This year, it's Leo Carlsson, Cutter Gauthier, Mason McTavish. Those are the guys. Ben Seneke is 6th in forward ice time right now for the Anaheim Ducks. They are getting an opportunity to play, and they're enjoying it, and they're having fun playing. It makes a big difference. When we talk about culture, it's about the ability to make players feel excited about going to the rink every day, whether you're winning or losing. And that is tough, especially when you're losing. I know it is because I've been on plenty of losing teams in that coach's room, and I know how miserable it can be when you go to the rink every day when everybody's losing. And due to that, winning breeds winning and losing breeds losing. When you're winning, coaches give you a day off. They throw some fun at you. Hey, let's have a fun practice today. Hey, you know what? We're not going on the ice. We're just going to have a workout and a meeting. When you're losing, you grind harder. We're going to have a day off, but we're going to practice today. We're going to spend more time in the gym today. We're going to work harder. And sometimes it's a spiraling effect. Coaches can't help themselves. They can't. When things are broken, they want to fix it. And sometimes that fix is giving guys a little breath. It's the ability to coach those situations when you're struggling to bring in that light and bring in that happiness and bring in that atmosphere. That's really hard. And sometimes it's not deserved. I get it, especially if the effort's not there. But when you're coaching a young team like the Anaheim Ducks a season ago and you bring in that dark cloud every single day, man, nothing's going to happen right. So give a lot of credit to Joel Queneville in what's happening with the Anaheim Ducks. They've got 7 straight wins right now. And in those 7 straight wins, they've got 3+ goals in 10 straight games. This team is scoring goals. There's going to be a big test for this Anaheim team coming up right now. They're heading out to play Colorado on the road. Where do they fit with some of the best teams in the Western Conference? And I'm telling you right now, offensively, they can compete with anybody in this league. And their ability to put up points. Now, is this sustainable? I don't know. I think they need to defend better. I think you're going to have to look at them being better in their defensive zone and their ability to cut down goals against. We looked at last year, and we talked about goals against. They were 3.07, and they were 14th this year, 3.07. Goals against average through 15, exactly the same. That's got to get better. They've got to start getting that number below 3, and I think they will. I think part of this now is an adjustment. Offense is easier to get to earlier with a new coach because you just jump over the boards and play. Defense is about structure and rush reads and where to go when, and some of those things get implanted over time, and it's hard to shake those habits in a few weeks. I do think this Anaheim Duck team is going to get better defensively. And I also think this Anaheim Duck right now is a team that you have to consider as a serious threat to be a playoff team. And you can't outscore your problems when it gets to the playoffs. You can't. We've seen it with teams that are trying to be offensive throughout the years. You got to be able to defend. So one of the things they will have to clean up as the season goes on is their ability to defend. Now, one team that we talked about is struggling on the other end. There are a bunch. Toronto's out of the playoffs. Washington's out of the playoffs. Florida is 1 point out of last place in the East. The Kings, the Canucks, Calgary, another team. Canucks and Calgary were 2 teams that were just outside the playoffs. Calgary's in last. St. Louis, right there with them at the bottom of the Western Conference. Another team that snuck into the playoffs at the end. Minnesota's finding themselves out of a playoffs right now. Edmonton's out of a playoff spot right now. LA's out of a playoff spot right now. But the one that surprises me the most right now and how poorly they're playing, especially at home, is the New York Rangers. And talk about defending, winning championships. Well, the New York Rangers are defending just fine. It's not a problem. They aren't having an issue with defending. They're second in the National Hockey League right now in goals against per game with 2.5. Second. Last year they were third with 2.38. They're the same. They're defending the same. Penalty kill, top 10 this year, top 10 last year. Their ability to defend is there. There's not scoring goals. A year ago, through 16 games, because they played 16 by now, they had 23 points. Now they have 16. They're 12th in the East. Last year, they were 6th in the East, and they were the first wild card team. And it all comes down to their ability to score goals. Last year, 3.56 goals per game, 6th in the league. This year, 2.19 goals per game, 31st. Power play, 31st. Last year's power play was top 10. Now, there are a couple of metrics that you look at that you go, okay, some of this can't continue. They've been shut out at home 6 times. Like, that cannot continue, right? 5 times at home they've been shut out. That can't continue. And part of the metrics you look at is the goals above expected. And I know I'm not a big believer in advanced stats. We've talked about that. I've talked with stats guys about this. Goals expected. Hey, shooters expect to score. Goalies expect to stop it. That's just the way it is. When a coach looks at a shot area where it's taken from, they go, yeah, we expect to score if we're on offense, and we expect to stop it if we're on defense. So when you say expect to, it's a really misnomer. It's location of a great shot. And right now, the New York Rangers, they are in goals above expected. They're last, minus 14.64, meaning that every shot taken from where they're taking it from, by who they're taking it from, in the situation that they're taking it from, they should have 15 more goals than they do this season than they do. And one of the reasons why, you look at the shooting percentage. 5-on-5 shooting percentage in the National Hockey League, they're 31st. They're not going in. Shots aren't going in. Anaheim shots are going in. Anaheim are scoring at a pace of 11.48 of their shots are going in. They take 100 shots, they're going to score 12. The Rangers are at 6.88%. They take 100, they're going to get 6. Huge difference. And over time, that is going to level out. The New York Rangers are going to start scoring more goals. Of course they are. They're better than that. They have more talent than that. You look at Adam Fox last year through 16 games, had 13 points. This year has 11. Leads defense in both. The big difference is you look at their best players. Artemi Panarin a year ago had 24 points, 16 games, and he has 10. He had 10 goals. He has 3. Mika Zibanejad had 12 points, now has 8. JT Miller wasn't there a year ago. He's got 8 points. Lafreniere, 14. Now he's got 8 this year. Cooley had 12. Now he's got 7. But this is where I wanted to bring in one of the things about the New York Rangers, because I like Mike Sullivan. I think he's a great coach. I think he teaches his team to defend well. I look at what they did in Pittsburgh and their ability to shrink the zone, get the defense involved in their offense. I think he is a very good coach. But I want to take you back to a date, November 25th, 2024. Chris Drury sends out a letter to all of the other GMs in the league telling him his top players are now available for trade, including team captain Jacob Trouba and one of the team leaders, Chris Kreider. From that time, November 25th, 2024 to today, the New York Rangers are 26th in winning percentage. 26th. The only teams worse than the Rangers: Seattle, Boston, Buffalo, New York, Chicago, San Jose. 4 of those teams are in a rebuild, and Boston blew their team up. Those are the only teams worse since that date. Do you think some of the issues in New York are because of the general manager and not just roster construction, but the mood inside that room from that point in November? Now, there's no excuse for that to carry over to this year. They've got a new captain in JT Miller. You've got new players, and it's a fresh start with a new coach. However, you still have your boss that doesn't believe in what you're doing. Man, I've worked at places. When your boss doesn't believe in you, or you get in trouble for something, man, you're not excited about work. It's hard to focus on work. It's hard to give your best performance. Do you think that matters? Because I do. I know they're professional athletes, and they're paid to do these jobs, and they should be doing better. And yes, all of these things are true. But when someone in your organization, most notably your boss, isn't pleased with what you're doing and lets you know it and gives you that fear of, hey, you don't pick it up, we're going to trade you? Dude, that's fearful. We're going to go through layoffs, and we're going to lose some of you. And now go work your hardest. So do I think that matters? Absolutely. They're 25th in goals for per game since that announcement in November 25th. Their power play, 29th. All of those offensive metrics that you look at are absolutely part of what's happening inside that management room. Now, do I think the New York Rangers are this bad offensively? Absolutely not. I do think they're going to rebound, and I do think they're going to get the opportunity to get some of those standings points back. I do think you're going to see them start to go in a different direction. I really do. Now, they got Nashville at home in their next game. They've got to score. Like, the Nashville Predators are one of those teams that you've got to get points against, and you've got to score goals against. Then they're going on the road to Tampa and Columbus. Then they come back to Detroit. Those are teams that are playing well right now. You're going to have to find a way to score. And this is a team that is playing a lot of their games coming up on the road. They've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 3. Sorry about my math. 7 of their next 10 are on the road. The good news for the New York Rangers is they win a lot of games on the road. And maybe this can get them back in the rhythm of a team that can get some confidence on the ice and they can start scoring. That's what New York Rangers fans have to hope for because they are doing their job defensively. I know they gave up 5 against the Islanders in the most recent game, but they are a team, and we talked about their statistics and their ability to keep the puck out of the net. This is a team that's doing fine in goals against. They're second again in 2.5. But do you think losing players like Chris Kreider, who now this season has 12 points, he has 9 goals in Anaheim, Trouba leads all defense, do you think they'd like to have some of those players back? Keandre Miller, yeah, let's get him out of here. He had 2 points for the Rangers through this time a year ago. He's got 8 for Carolina right now. Does it matter? Yeah, it matters. Does Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba and Keandre Miller make the Rangers better? I don't know. I don't know what their effect was in the locker room, but it doesn't seem to be a problem in Anaheim where now they have a mixture of those young players with those veteran NHL players that are help pulling them along. The New York Rangers have to start scoring. And they're going to have to do it by getting their D involved, getting more shots through, getting their D to join the rush, getting their D in off of the blue line. They're going to have to start scoring on the power play. It's imperative that you cannot be 31st when you put out a power play that has Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin and Adam Fox on it. You can't. You can't sit at 31st with those kind of guys on there. So at some point, if you don't expect more changes in New York. And it's not going to be the coach this time because Mike Sullivan is going to be there for a while. Well, I want to talk about Utah. I always got to give the Utah Minute and expect that in all of these shows. And we're going to start trying to get these shows out every Monday on Inside the Coach's Room. Make sure you subscribe to Inside the Coach's Room to get a bit different perspective on some of the stories that you're hearing around the league. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, and make sure you tune in because it's not just about this podcast that we're going to try to do once a week. It's a lot of film breakdown. It's the why things are happening. Why things are the way they are. You can go and look at last week's the Toronto Maple Leafs, why are they struggling to defend 5-on-5. And this week, we're going to do a deeper dive into the Edmonton Oilers. So expect that to come out by the middle of the week. And we're going to go to the film and see, why they're struggling to score 5-on-5 and why they're giving up so many goals. So make sure you subscribe to Inside the Coach's Room so you don't miss any of that content. But I spent 23 years as the video coach of the Arizona Coyotes. And when that team up and moved to Utah, I kept my focus on some of those players. And so we're going to have a Utah Minute, a Utah segment at the end of these shows. And Utah right now is a team that's still hanging on to a playoff spot. They lost 5 of 6 after a big winning streak, and they have lost 3 straight. They've given up 15 goals over those 3 games. But keep in mind, 2 of those are back-to-backs in Montreal, in Ottawa against 2 very good teams. And Vitek Vanacek played both of those, gave up 4 of them both. Tough spots for Vitek Vanacek to be in 2 teams that are playing very well right now, playing them on back-to-backs and playing them on the road. The good news for Utah, they're outstanding at home. 4-1 right now at Delta Center. They won 4 straight before their first loss. 6 of their next 8 are at home. And hopefully they can get their scoring back on track. Because one of the problems, this team is struggling to score over their last 6 games. And it comes down to the individuals. Nick Schmaltz, who was on a tear the prior 6 games, he had 7 goals. The most recent 6, 2. Cooley had 6 goals in those 6 prior games. He has 1 in the most recent 6. Gunther had 3. He only had 1 in the most recent 6. Keller had 4 in the previous 6. Now he's got 2. Power play goals. They scored goals in 8 of the first 10 games on the power play. Now they've gone 0 for their last 6. The power play is going to be the area you're going to find that this team can get out of this hole offensively the quickest, and expect them to be more successful at home on this power play, and expect them to score more at home. Utah's hanging around it right now, and this is the team that is out of the gates really well. But you look at what their home games coming home to play Buffalo and New York, winnable games. Then they go to Anaheim and San Jose. That Anaheim game, I can't wait to see. They're both 2 young offensive teams that play with pace. So keep an eye on that Anaheim Duck. And then you're going to see where they compete in the Western Conference. Can they keep up with the offensively talented and the leading Anaheim Ducks in that game on the 17th? And they play San Jose before coming back home for 4 more, including 2 against Vegas. Those are tough games. But you're going to be able to see where they fit in with the rest of the league. It's going to be imperative to compare them to some of the better teams, and Vegas is one of those teams. So there is going to be some litmus tests for this Utah Mammoth team coming up. Can Karel Vejmelka keep up his numbers and statistically be what we've seen consistently after giving up a few on the road? Can he get back to what we expected to see him at home? Lastly, I do want to say something about a story that came out with Bill Armstrong last week and his quote inside KSL Sports, and I've seen it on Bleacher Report. Bill Armstrong said, quote, when talking about the new facilities in Utah, quote, "We have a TV set in the video room where the players meet every morning that's probably worth more than our entire facility was in Arizona." Now, I know that's a little tongue-in-cheek, but I'll tell you this, not really. So I checked in on the TV, amazing TV. Yeah, does everything. Highest def TV, ginormous. We're not measuring by inches, we're measuring by feet. And so when you do it right. Literally the best TV made is in Utah right now. And I say this, does a player notice? Heck yeah, they notice. They notice when you're spending money on them. They know when you're doing things right. They know when you provide them with good food, good coffee, the shampoo in the shower room. Does it matter? Heck yeah, it matters. You give them the good things. So when you talk about the TV in the video room, does it matter? Do they notice? Absolutely they notice. And players want to be treated well, just like we all do. We want our boss to recognize us and give us the tools we need to succeed. We don't want to use old computers when we're sitting at our desk. We don't have bad equipment. We don't want to have a bad office space. We want to work with the best that's available. And that's what's happening in Utah. So I don't think he's being serious. Does the TV cost more than the room? But let's be honest, he might be. And I want to tell you a story about me trying to buy a TV for the video room in Arizona. Now, Alex Morelos Sr. was the owner of the team at the time, and this is when the team was playing in Glendale, and Rick Tocchet wanted to make a change. We had a projector projecting the video onto the screen, and it's hard. The projection screen, it's good, but a TV is sharper, clearer, high-def image, it's better. So Rick Tocchet wanted to make a change. We want to get a TV. Okay, I will get on TV pricing. So I do. I get on, I make bids. I make bids to professional commercial TV providers. Because not only provide the TV, they got to hook it up. We've got a very nice sound system in there. We want to make sure that it's hooked up to the sound. The wiring, it has to go to the video room. This is a big deal. I can't do it. I'm not climbing up and wiring a TV to 50 feet away. I don't know. Could I do it? I guess I probably could figure it out, but that's not my job. I don't know how to do that. And when you're doing that at a facility like that, you want to get a corporate people involved that do this for a living to make sure they do it right. So I get the bids. I find a local Arizona company, owned and operated, got me a TV. Here's a really good price. It's a big TV. We're 75 inches, might have been 85 at the time. I don't recall exactly, but it was a big TV. It was a good TV. And I included the wiring, what it was going to cost to run it to the computers and to all the different audio systems and on all of those pricing. And I submitted to the Alex Morello accounting team. By the way, hoops upon hoops buying things in Arizona. And I'm not speaking out of school. Ask anybody who had to order stuff. Man, you wanted to buy a pen, you had to have paperwork on that pen. So for a TV, something like that, in previous ownerships, it would be, hey, I need to buy this TV, general manager. And they would go, do we need it? Yes. Buy it. That was it. That was the procedure. I know things are more advanced and you have to put in requests and it's not uncommon. So I did get the bids and then here's the TV price. And I got back in return, hey, this is a CFO. This is big. This isn't some first level accountant. This is the guy that has to approve everything. His answer to me is, hey, I just went online. I found a similar TV at a big box store for X. And X was about $500 cheaper. And he was right. It was cheaper. $500 cheaper. It was 100% absolutely. And I said, well, who's going to go get it? The other one, we work every day. We work 7 days a week around the clock. I can't go 40 minutes away. I don't have the vehicle could pick up an 85-inch TV. Don't have it. How are we going to get it? And so now he's like, well, maybe I can. No, dude, you don't go get it. We get it delivered and we get it installed. I said, who's going to install it? Well, we'll get somebody here inside the building. No, you get a professional to hook up this TV because that's the way things work. Yes, it cost $500 more. I'm telling you, the TV they bought in Utah right now, wasn't $500. I'm telling you, it's not. Like, it's one of the best TVs made. And so I said, I got up out of my desk and I walked down to the accounting department and I was hot. Because I'm telling you're trying to tell a room full of millionaires that we're going to give you a substandard product because we want to save $500. And I did use Phil Kessel as a name because I know he was a player that we'd signed for a lot of money. I said, Phil Kessel, you're going to have Phil Kessel watching this TV from this big box store. That's what we're doing. And I'll tell you what, ultimately we got the commercial TV, we got the commercial TV installed, and everything was fine. But I just want to be able to show that, yes, that was a thing. That was a real process inside Arizona. So do I think the TV in Utah is more than the whole facilities in Arizona? No. Are the facilities nicer than Utah than Arizona? Yes. Did they provide everything they should have to an NHL team in Arizona as they went to the Morello ownership group? No. Did they try prior to that? Yeah, I think they tried. I do think there were ownership groups that really tried to do things the right way and tried to spend the money. Unfortunately, they just couldn't. But the Morello group changed. It was a different animal under that ownership group. So I know people online were like, "Oh, you're defending me." I'm not defending Morello. I was there when they came through and took inventory of desk phones because they wanted every phone we could eliminate. We could save a few dollars off of desks. That happened. So is there a difference in ownership groups between Utah and Arizona? It's not even close. I don't want to imply that there was. It was hard. It was a struggle. So thankful to Ryan Smith and the ownership group in Utah for taking away all the excuses from the players. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to have players go, well, our gym isn't good enough. Our meal room's not good enough. Our locker room's not good enough. We're not getting the right hotels. Nothing is up to what I talked to so-and-so at another team. They're getting this. Yes, it makes a difference. Not just in signing free agents, because that will come over time, but making the people that you have in the organization happy to be there. And every time you walk in the door and go, oh, really? It's hard to go to work. And put yourself in those shoes. And I know it's the National Hockey League. You should be able to do whatever it is, wherever it is. But you have to at least try. So that's my story from the past of old Arizona Coyote ownership. Congrats to Ryan Smith and the Utah ownership for doing things the right way. And keep your eye on those Utah Mammoth. They're a fun group to watch. And they're a team that's coming through that rebuild that took them years and years and years in Arizona. Now those players like Cooley and Gunther and Keller. And you talk about some of their young defensemen coming through this. Simashev, we've seen him playing an important role on this team. It's exciting to watch. So keep your eye on those Utah Mammoth. And make sure you subscribe to Inside the Coach's Room. I'll be back here again next Monday with more stuff and trying to bring you some of the perspectives from inside the coaches' rooms around the National Hockey League. Thanks for joining me. I'm Petey, and we'll see you at the rink.